All righty, Coach. Thanks for joining. We got week 2 lightning round. We'll start it off with Clay Hall from WSYX. Clay, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, do you see a visible difference in Chip Tranum's running ability right now? That first run, that 17-yarder where he bounces it outside, I thought was, I don't know, just a nuance to his game. What say you, sir?
Yeah, I would say that, that's accurate. He spent a whole year training as a running back, and I think that matters. He's a year older, but he's training solely as a running back. That was not the case last year. Came in as a transfer, started at linebacker, and then made the transition to running back when we needed him. So, he's versatile. You saw him line up as fullback. You saw him line up as a tailback. And so the more things he can do, the better. But, yeah, I think you saw him run downhill, run behind his pads. And so hopefully we can build on that.
All right, let's go next to Patrick Murphy, 247.
Ryan, you were talking on the radio show about tempo and when to use it, when not to. When you have a young quarterback or a inexperienced quarterback, some new offensive linemen in there, how much does that play into your comfort of going tempo at times or maybe not so much?
Yeah, I think it's a good question that we could probably talk about for a long time. I think that there's some things that you do in tempo that can get somebody into a rhythm of the game. But also when you're dealing with a clock that is moving fast and, the other team is trying to run the ball, the issue with tempo is sometimes you can run, plays into bad looks because you're going fast. You don't have the ability to maybe make an adjustment because the defense maybe isn't lined up. And so there's a fine line there of making sure that, you're staying in rhythm of the game, but you're also running good plays. So we try to find that balance and keep defenses on their heels. But at the same time, we also have to make sure that schematically we're doing the right thing and that we're putting guys in the right situation to be successful. So we'll always have tempo as part of our game. And when we can utilize it as a weapon, we will. And some guys do better or worse with tempo. And so those are all the things that you're trying to evaluate when you have first-time starters.
Alrighty, next up, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Yeah, Ryan, to follow up on Chip, just what specifically makes him a good fit for this role where he's playing both running back and fullback?
I think the first thing with Chip is he is a team player. He's got a great work ethic. He's tough, and had a really good offseason. But I think skill set wise, he's got high end speed. When you look at his numbers on the GPS, he's way north of 20 miles an hour. He can really go. He runs low to the ground. He's got good vision, but he's strong. He's big. We asked him to put on a little bit more weight so that he can provide a little bit of a change of pace and do a little bit more things than maybe some of the other backs. So I think his size, his speed, and his overall makeup is allowing him to be on the field.
Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, if everything goes, I guess, best case scenario on Saturday, what's the quarterback plan behind the top two guys? Is Tristan third in that? And is there an opportunity to play Lincoln Kienholz this early in his true freshman year?
Yeah, I mean, Tristan would be the next one in the game. Tristan's done a great job of helping the other guys in the room. He's like having a graduate assistant. He's very, very smart, very mature, and has talent. So, he would be the next one in. Would love at some point to get Lincoln in a game to get his feet wet. We're allowed to have 4 games, so and still redshirt Lincoln. We'll see, how things go. Every rep is so valuable right now, so we'll see. But there's a lot of things that we are very much encouraged with Lincoln. We see somebody who hasn't played a whole bunch of football, has played multiple sports, but has a great feel, is very intelligent, very inquisitive, curious, and has to continue to build. He didn't play, down in Georgia or Texas or Ohio. He played in South Dakota. So it's going to take a little bit of time for him, but yeah, he's learning quickly, and would love to see him get in a game at some point for sure.
Alrighty, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Coach, wanted to ask a little bit about receivers in the blocking game and just how you graded that out last week. Were you happy with the way your receivers blocked since you've made such an emphasis on wanting to run the football more?
I thought there were some good things. I thought Julian Fleming had some really nice blocks. I thought he played physical. I thought there were some plays we could have done a better job in that area. So looking for more consistency there. But like you said, that's an important part of the game. We want to stretch the field vertically and horizontally. And part of that is the wide receivers blocking on the perimeter. Now, we have some big, strong receivers. And so you see a lot of teams, push the ball on the perimeter, however that is, whether it's in the run game or throwing the ball on perimeter, wide receiver screens, bubbles, things like that. But the key to making it all work, just like the run game, is blocking. So, you watch a lot of these teams get players touches on the perimeter in the wide receiver screen game. That works when you're blocking. And so, that's something that our guys have done in the past, but we'll continue to push them on, because the better we block on the perimeter, just like in the run game inside, it's just an extension of the run game. That's the way we look at it. And what that forces teams to do is get out of the box a little bit and defend the field horizontally. So whether we're doing that in the run game or shooting the ball out on wide receiver screens or bubbles or those types of things, we're going to need those guys to block at a high level. I think you saw some of that, but we're going to keep pushing them because, our expectations are very high.
All righty, we'll go next to Austin Ward, Rivals.
Ryan, this is another question about, not taking an opponent for granted, but if you get an ideal scenario on Saturday, how much would you want to play Marvin, especially after, the hit that he took on Saturday? What's the right amount for somebody who's already done what he has in a game that could go your way, I guess?
Well, yeah, we go into every game wanting to win the game, and we got to make sure we're doing that. We try to get him the ball, and he's certainly somebody that you try to figure that part of it out. It's not always easy. The other team knows that, but we'll take a close look at it and see how the game's going. He's ready to roll in this game. So he's healthy, but we're always cognizant of that and try to do the best we can to make sure that we're doing what's right by each player. But our number one goal is to get out there and play really, really well in this game. We want to get a rhythm on offense. We want to get, we want to convert on some situational stuff and play really well. And part of that and building that confidence up of, keeping drives going and scoring points, he's going to be a big part of that. So that's another goal on Saturday. But the first goal is to win the game. And we're certainly not going to go away from that.
All righty, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, with all the new pieces that you've had on the offensive line and new faces there, looking back on last winter, how valuable was Matt Jones's return, and what do you see sort of his impact having early in the season?
Well, I think I say this all the time, the game of football is hard, life is hard, and it depends on where you are in your development in your career. When you're young, it's hard. When you're older, it's hard. So I take Matt, for example. He's a guy who is now, one of the older guys in the room. So now not only does he have to carry the water, but he's got to bring people with him. He has to lead. And, as we all know, that's as you become older and you start to grow as a man, you have to take on more responsibility. And that's not easy. It's a new role. And so Matt is somebody who's been around before and has to continue to lead up front and bring guys with him, not only by setting an example, but having the voice to, hold guys to a certain standard. And, that's just not with the offensive line. That's in a lot of areas. And so, he's got to embrace that, and he knows that. And, he's been around, so he knows what it looks like. And then the more reps some of these guys get and the more games they get under their belt, they'll have the experience to start doing the same. But I think that's something you're seeing, on defense with Tommy Eichenberg and some other different spots. But his role is different than it was a couple of years ago. And, we need him to be a guy to show everybody exactly what it's supposed to look like.
All righty, next up, Andy Backstrom, Letterman Monroe.
Ryan, I noticed that Lorenzo Styles Jr. was your special teams player of the game last week. What stood out about him on special teams? What has he done kind of to make a difference so far?
Yeah, well, it's his effort and his competitiveness, toughness. I mean, he can really run, and his effort running down on kickoff last week was excellent. And there was a bunch of guys like that. I was really impressed with Arvell Reese's physicality. He came down and really, did a nice job. He's got a chance to be a special player. But Lorenzo, I think it was 2 holding calls that he grabbed. And anytime you're taking the ball out on a kickoff return, that's one of the things, at least when you're on offense and you're returning it, you have to be careful of those holds, because if you do, you're probably starting inside the 10-yard line. And because Lorenzo was given such great effort, he caused 2 holding penalties that backed Indiana way up. And now when you start a drive that far back, your chances of scoring a touchdown, decreases, So I thought the effort was great. I think you see his competitiveness. We spent a lot of time competing this offseason, and he was right in the middle of it. He loves that part of it. You can see that's just the way he's built. And so, this summer he was really doing that, and you saw his effort. So we can keep building on that, then that's a good thing.
All righty, last 2. We'll go first to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch.
Brian, I know you guys were surprised when Indiana came out in a triple option. And so many players not happy about it because they practiced for, more conventional offense. Still, only giving up 3 points. How good do you feel about the defense, and how much can you really take from that game, considering that it wasn't the offense you expected to see?
I think you can take away that, we had an opportunity to get our hands on some balls, and we did. I think that was just noteworthy, because that's what we see in practice more. And I think when there's more opportunities to throw the ball, that's something that we want to continue to do. We didn't really get a chance to see, a ton of the pass rush and our pass defense get challenged. But I think you gain the fact that there wasn't any panic on defense. Jim did a nice job, and the staff did, and Tommy, of identifying how they were being attacked, and the effort. I thought guys were flying around. I thought you saw some real good effort, and you have to play assignment football. And then at some point they're going to take a shot over the top. Lathan got to the middle of the field. Denzel got back there and kept it in front. And when you can force a team to work the entire field, you're going to win more than you lose. So it was a good start. It was an extension of what we saw this preseason.
There's something I was
And, hopefully we can keep building.
Yeah, and Dave and I were.
All righty, we'll wrap it up with Tim May from Letterman Row.
Yeah, I hope to get a word in edgewise here about Clay Hall. Hey, Ryan, yesterday I asked Jaden Fielding if he's on scholarship. He deferred to Michael Bassford, who deferred to you. So I'm asking you, is he on scholarship? But then past that, what does it do for a coach to see a guy drill 3 field goals when they were most needed in a game like that? And from a confidence standpoint, you having him now.
In Jaden Fielding?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, he's on scholarship. I think when you get into those situations where you have an opportunity to score a touchdown and you don't, it can be, a downer, because they're 4-point plays.
Yeah.
And we came up short on a couple of those. But if you missed a field goal, now it's a 7-point play. And so those can add up. And we got to make sure that we're on point in those areas. And then if we're a little bit further out, like the 40-yarder that he hit, those aren't really 4-point plays. Those are wins at times. Now we want to score touchdowns every time we touch the ball. But when you're playing good defense, that can be the difference in the game, as we know, especially when you're playing in these matchup games where it comes down to a play or a point or two. So, it was a good start. We know that it's going to be important for us at some point during the season. Yeah. And always trying to score touchdowns, but we know that this is going to be important. Protection's got to be on point. The operation's got to be on point. And then Jaden's going to make the kick. So good start, but a long way to go.
Thanks, man.
You got it.
All righty, Coach. Thank you. We'll talk to you Saturday.
All right, guys. Thanks.